Forget everything you thought you knew about making a bed. I will show you the only method that matters. A gripping mystery has paralyzed the entire nation for over 30 days. Focusing on Arizona's Catalina foothills, everyone prayed for a miracle regarding 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie. Suddenly, the entire atmosphere surrounding this search turned incredibly dark today. Breaking updates reveal authorities are zeroing in on a highly concentrated area situated under 5 miles from her doorstep. Neighbors desperately clung to the possibility of her safe return. But this grim breakthrough utterly shattered those lingering prayers. Let us break down the exact details of this shocking find and explore where this operation stands now. A mere 5 miles out lies a clue poised to blow this mystery wide open. 4 agonizing weeks passed since the woman vanished. Detectives remain completely baffled, struggling to piece together her exact whereabouts or comprehend the terrifying sequence that unfolded. This nightmare originally exploded as a frantic rescue mission fueled by relentless media coverage. Sadly, it morphed into an incredibly bleak ordeal, crushing the initial belief she would return alive. That relentless optimism fueled massive volunteer crews scouring treacherous terrain, chasing down leads to aggressively map out her vanishing steps. However, as days bled into weeks, that initial bright spark of positivity rapidly died. Everything violently shifted on February 24th. Her famous daughter and siblings faced the media lights to deliver a gut-wrenching broadcast. It transcended a simple missing flyer. That press conference laid bare the sheer gravity of their nightmare. The journalist confessed her worst fear, assuming their beloved matriarch had passed. Back then, it lingered merely as an agonizing, heartbreaking theory. Listen, that terrible hypothesis is solidifying into cold truth, as investigators unearthed human remains barely 5 miles from her desert residence. That horrifying proximity alone completely paralyzed the detective squad with sheer dread. This perfectly matches grim predictions seasoned profilers whispered during week 1. Regardless, a mountain of puzzling loose ends continues, baffling everyone. Countless tips poured into the hotline without delivering a shred of closure. Crossing the 30-day mark completely darkened this manhunt. Saving her is off the table. The mission is purely uncovering the exact horror she endured. Veteran criminal profiler Michael Gould predicted this exact strategic pivot from the very beginning, tracking every clue closely. He delivered an incredibly hard pill to swallow regarding her ultimate fate. Professionally speaking, the ticking clock was her absolute worst enemy. He bluntly stated she probably perished within the initial 72 hours, guaranteeing a morgue transport instead of a hospital trip. His logic stems from a heavily publicized fact growing increasingly critical as the calendar flipped. The missing woman possessed incredibly fragile health. Being 84 meant surviving strictly on crucial cardiac prescriptions. Medical records confirm that missing those pills for 24 hours invites a lethal catastrophe. After 4 brutal weeks, that biological ticking time bomb officially seals her grim fate. The analyst stressed that stacking her physical vulnerabilities against 30 agonizing days of absence paints an impossible survival picture. He firmly insists that calling this a life-saving mission is entirely delusional. It morphed into a totally different beast entirely, labeling it a morbid retrieval. He noted that finding remains offers harsh facts without true peace. It merely stops the agonizing guesswork. Reporters pressed him on whether authorities would ever successfully crack this baffling enigma. The seasoned investigator expressed supreme confidence, while explicitly warning that the heavy wheels of justice will grind slow. He theorized that a specific individual currently harbors the dark truth. That witness could be blood, a random buddy, or a silent accomplice. The ultimate hurdle involves pinpointing that exact informant and discovering the perfect leverage to break their silence. The expert totally rejected the theory of a lone wolf predator acting secretly without leaving clear ripples. Tragedies like this leave messy trails, meaning bystanders caught weird glimpses or odd conversations they simply buried out of fear, even with absolute faith that justice will prevail. He firmly cautioned that uncorking this mystery might require decades. He backed this up by referencing a separate 20-year-old cold case from his own files that is barely reaching the finish line today. Meanwhile, the official task force adamantly refuses to dismiss the chilling theory of a calculated and deliberate kidnapping plot. Floating a premeditated abduction severely tangles the web of clues, sparking endless debates regarding potential suspects and their motives. Yet the absolutely most terrifying aspect of the profiler's analysis involves predicting her final resting place. He analyzes grim historical patterns from classic kidnapping files. A dead body usually turns up terrifyingly close to its own front door, the expert warned. They often lay hidden just 2 to 5 miles away, exactly where this new grim discovery happened. This perfectly matches the intense ground operations already underway. Crews spent weeks combing the nearby landscape with absolute precision, even pausing at one stage, famous for cracking tough missing persons cases. The volunteer squad actually drove up from Mexico to help. Unfortunately, local deputies eventually blocked their entry, making a tough situation even more stressful. Meanwhile, her loved ones remain caught in a devastating tug-of-war between optimism and grim truth. Things shifted completely when Savannah dropped that video, offering a $1 million bounty while admitting her mom might be dead. Gould claims this timing was completely intentional. Detectives are likely dealing with this exact nightmare behind closed doors. Solid tips are drying up, forcing a silent realization of tragedy. Though he emphasized a crucial point: nobody is throwing in the towel, and the hunt definitely continues. They are just accepting cold facts now, especially since finding evidence 5 miles from her doorstep brings them agonizingly close to answers. Everyone still wonders if this discovery offers closure or just pure heartbreak. Here is the exact timeline showing how her disappearance morphed into an active crime scene. Grasping the current situation requires rewinding to those final verified minutes right before she vanished. People last spotted her alive Saturday evening at her Catalina Foothills residence near Tucson, January 31st, 2026. Everything felt normal when her son-in-law Tommaso dropped her off near 9:50 that night. Absolutely nothing looked suspicious then. He became the crucial final witness, as red flags were waving by the following dawn. She religiously attended her online congregation broadcasts and was supposed to log in. Her unusual absence instantly alarmed a fellow parishioner who promptly dialed her relatives. That single alert triggered panic, sending family members rushing over by 11 that morning. Scouring the entire estate yielded absolutely zero clues, making the situation even more baffling. Nobody found a single hint explaining her sudden, trace-free departure. Panicked relatives finally dialed 911 right around midday. Local deputies rushed over after getting the alert, and their immediate discoveries instantly flipped the script. She left her cell phone and all her personal stuff indoors. Abandoning crucial mobility aids is incredibly alarming for an 84-year-old woman. This clearly wasn't a casual stroll. All signs pointed to a sudden, forced interruption. Detectives instantly stopped treating this like a standard runaway case. Massive manhunts kicked off immediately, pulling in cops from every single government level. County sheriffs launched massive rescue squads equipped with tracking hounds and aerial cameras. Border Patrol agents even jumped aboard, providing heavy backup to scour the vast landscape. She remained a ghost until February 2nd, when the entire operation suddenly shifted gears. Officials publicly declared the rescue mission was entirely over. Sheriff Chris Nanos explained why they were now hunting a criminal. Clues found indoors strongly suggested foul play occurred right on the property. Murder detectives took over, instantly locking down the residence for forensics. Nanos suspects someone kidnapped the frail woman from her bedroom during the darkest hours. Since she couldn't even manage 50 yards unassisted, an abduction seemed practically guaranteed. Walking away voluntarily totally contradicted every piece of physical proof. Grim reality set in when detectives finally confirmed discovering fresh blood splattered near her front doorway. Lab results dropped a bombshell. The DNA matched Nancy. Security cameras captured a chilling red streak leading right up to the main entrance. This single clue severely amplified fears regarding the terrifying events that possibly unfolded indoors. Detectives withheld precise details regarding the injury severity or total volume of blood discovered. Yet they established one undeniable fact. The interior state of the residence was incredibly alarming, completely ruling out the theory that she simply walked away. Additional clues only painted a darker reality. Crucial belongings remained untouched inside. Furthermore, someone had ripped away the front porch camera. These facts indicated a calculated plot to kidnap Nancy while actively dodging surveillance. Every single clue led investigators down this exact same terrifying path. Given the extreme gravity of this situation, federal agents stepped in to provide massive tactical support and specialized manpower. Law enforcement immediately classified Nancy as highly vulnerable. This classification stemmed purely from her advanced years, severe physical restrictions, and an absolute dependence on life-saving prescriptions. Detectives aggressively chased down absolutely every potential lead. Teams scoured local security tapes, dissected cyber trails, and evaluated nearby property monitors. Officers knocked on countless doors, interviewed locals, and investigated each tip submitted. Yet, despite this massive mobilization, the truth remained completely hidden. By the 7th of February, police still lacked a definitive suspect. Handcuffs stayed empty, and the location of Nancy Guthrie remained a total mystery. An initial search for a lost woman rapidly escalated into a highly sinister emergency. Her peaceful suburban sanctuary rapidly transformed into an active, heavily guarded crime scene, while each fresh discovery cemented an incredibly disturbing core reality. Nancy Guthrie definitely never walked out of that residence willingly. However, while detectives hit dead ends, the agonizing quiet shattered when her closest loved ones spoke up. They demanded her safe return. These tearful public pleas fundamentally changed the entire trajectory of the Nancy Guthrie tragedy. 4 days past the initial vanishing, the agonizing quiet shattered, instantly altering the immense gravity of the situation. Her own child, Savannah Guthrie, bravely stood united with her siblings to broadcast a powerful message directly to the unidentified captors. During the 4th of February, Savannah, alongside Annie, and Cameron released an internet broadcast, delivering a remarkably composed yet deeply heartbreaking plea. The siblings spoke straight to their mom and her presumed abductor. By then, rumors regarding an alleged extortion note were wildly spreading. Savannah confronted these rumors head-on, stating the family monitored these claims and prepared a reply. Yet she firmly established a strict boundary. They demanded hard evidence. The siblings required absolute certainty regarding Nancy breathing. She emphasized how modern technology easily forges both audio clips and photographs. Moving forward required solid facts, not guesses. They explicitly requested communication from the individuals holding her captive. Absolute validation was mandatory. Most importantly, they sought a clear path to resolution. The narrative then pivoted back to Nancy's character. Savannah portrayed her mom far beyond a mere victim, labeling her the true heartbeat of their entire household. She highlighted her elderly status, her failing cardiovascular health, and the relentless physical agony she endured daily. She stressed how Nancy lacked crucial pills, which were absolutely vital for her basic survival. Deprived of these, the clock was ticking incredibly fast. However, transcending those health crises, her profound impact on their personal lives resonated the loudest. Savannah illustrated an incredibly cherished soul, a parent bringing immeasurable joy to their world, and a matriarch fiercely idolized by her grandkids. She praised Nancy's inviting nature, sharp wit, resilience, and unique ability to bond. This went beyond a simple tribute. It served as a powerful reminder that beyond the flashy news alerts lived an incredibly important soul whose family desperately awaited her return. Next, in an undeniably intimate shift, Savannah addressed her mom straight into the camera. She characterized her as fierce, a warrior anchored by deep spiritual belief during terrifying times. She assured her that their relatives never quit hunting, never paused their daily prayers, and refused to doubt a future reunion. This transcended mere wishing, it was pure grit. Annie then shared her perspective, illustrating the massive void created by Nancy's disappearance. She expressed how their world felt incredibly dark now. Even after surviving past family hardships, this specific nightmare hit completely differently. They were battling far more than pure terror. They suffered from the primal, desperate ache to simply hug their mom again. Cameron concluded the video with raw simplicity. He declared their endless love and begged her to maintain her fierce resilience. That update barely scratched the surface of what was coming. As night fell, Savannah logged back on, pleading for something vastly stronger than a clue, a miracle. Her words centered entirely around faith, praising crowds uniting together with optimism, emphasizing the immense courage her family continuously absorbed from such overwhelming solidarity. Calling Nancy an incredibly devoted believer with strong principles, she begged the public to keep sending positive energy, trusting heaven would intervene. During this intense period, Relatives desperately clung to every shred of optimism left. Suddenly, the entire situation escalated, following rumors of extortion demands. Savannah, alongside her siblings, published a fresh clip, possessing an entirely new level of desperation. Within the recording, she addressed the kidnappers' demands head-on while issuing a blunt plea. The siblings accepted the terms, insisting they stood prepared to deliver cash. She emphasized emphatically that retrieving their mom unharmed remained their ultimate goal, since achieving this alone could ever restore their fractured tranquility. Everything fundamentally transformed right then. This nightmare evolved way beyond conducting simple rescue operations. It became a desperate bargaining game, aiming to contact an elusive captor operating in the shadows. Then, come February 24th, the atmosphere dramatically darkened through yet another broadcast. Savannah candidly addressed the agonizing truth her relatives desperately avoided admitting publicly. Exactly 24 days had vanished since their mom disappeared, while each passing minute brought unrelenting terror, endless anxiety, alongside the torturous agony of total ignorance. Recognizing massive spiritual backing pouring in nationwide, she confirmed how deeply her household felt those uplifting vibes. Yet beneath that resilient optimism, a grim realization regarding an absolutely devastating outcome slowly took root. She clarified that despite continually wishing for divine intervention, everyone comprehended the stark chance Nancy might have perished. Acknowledging her potential passing, the siblings vowed to somehow swallow this tragic reality if necessary. Regardless of the outcome, a singular burning goal persisted. Discovering her exact location was absolutely mandatory, hoping to finally uncover the truth. Savannah declared her relatives would gladly pay a bounty, reaching $1 million for tips guiding them toward finding Nancy. Pleading directly with viewers everywhere, she insisted a specific individual held crucial secrets, begging that person to finally step into the light. This footage instantly went viral, sparking profoundly heartbreaking responses among her tightest inner circle. Co-workers publicly discussed the sheer torture of existing inside such endless limbo, calling the ordeal excruciating while repeating her urgent sentiments. A witness exists, and that fact stays absolutely undeniable. Between their initial cries and recent broadcasts, her loved ones maintained perfect consistency. The hunt continues tirelessly. They sit waiting patiently, desperately clinging to any tiny fraction of optimism left inside them. However, as her loved ones kept their eyes fixed forward, hoping to locate Nancy, detectives silently redirected their sights backward, revisiting the specific residence where this terrifying mystery originally kicked off. Digging through collected proof, possible clues, camera tapes, plus several unresolved mysteries. While detectives dug deeper into the baffling case of Nancy Guthrie vanishing, public scrutiny slowly returned toward the exact location marking ground zero, her personal residence. Externally, wildly contradictory rumors swirled regarding the property's current condition. A handful of insiders insisted police were only just gearing up to return the residence to her relatives. Yet per the Puma County Sheriff's Office, such gossip proved completely false. The structure got thoroughly searched before being surrendered back during the very first week following Nancy going missing. This specific fact proves critical, hinting directly at whatever evidence detectives thought they uncovered internally, or perhaps lacked entirely. Earlier, on February 3rd, Sheriff Chris Nanos officially verified amidst a media briefing how the property was relinquished shortly afterward, specifically on February 8th. Law enforcement introduced another twist, stating an armed guard would stay stationed near the premises because her relatives demanded protection. This isolated fact strongly implies lingering anxieties persisted long past the completion of initial forensic sweeps. Furthermore, although the dwelling reverted back into private hands, police definitely hadn't finished probing the scene. Detectives constantly returned there past February 8th, continuing to conduct extra analytical tasks while the relatives retained full ownership over the building. Official police contacts firmly stated they never confiscated the household away from her loved ones a second time. Rather, the location evolved into a cooperative environment, harboring both intimate family nostalgia alongside active criminal analysis. Yet, precisely what detectives successfully unearthed throughout those preliminary sweeps stays frustratingly vague today. Knowing the building underwent clearance before its return suggests a couple of wildly different theories. Perhaps officials bagged every single microscopic clue the attacker dropped, or maybe zero useful traces existed initially. When handling situations this dark, each theory holds massive significance. Suddenly, an earth-shattering breakthrough redirected all investigative momentum externally, dropping February 10th. Officials unveiled security snapshots alongside recorded tapes showing a disguised individual lurking outside Nancy's door the exact dawn she vanished. Finally, an actual photographic clue emerged, providing the absolute first solid puzzle piece. A looming shadow caught investigators' attention. Phoenix feds profiled the suspect as an ordinary-built male standing roughly 5'9" to 5'10" tall. Armed with a gun, he sported a dark 25-liter Ozark Trail hiking bag, a cheap everyday accessory likely grabbed off the shelves at a local Walmart. This seemingly ordinary knapsack rapidly emerged as a massive focal point for detectives. Sheriff Nanos noted that pinpointing this brand handed authorities a tangible lead, providing a physical breadcrumb trail they could actually chase down. Amid an investigation previously plagued by endless dead ends and frustrating shadows, such a mundane yet identifiable piece of gear finally presented a glimmer of hope. Fast forward a couple of days, and a fresh twist further expanded their mounting pile of evidence. By February 13th, Pima County authorities verified they had officially secured genetic material straight from the crime scene, capturing totally unknown biological profiles that were completely unrelated to Nancy or anyone in her immediate inner circle. At first glance, this felt like the ultimate smoking gun, though a massive hurdle quickly emerged since multiple biological contributors were tangled up within that exact same swab. Disentangling these overlapping markers to pinpoint one distinct individual proved to be a forensic nightmare. An initially promising clue suddenly spiraled into chaos. Yet the detectives absolutely refused to pump the brakes. Just under 2 miles away from Nancy's residence, searchers stumbled upon a discarded glove that federal agents believed perfectly mirrored the handwear sported by the camera's mystery man. This eerie similarity instantly skyrocketed the item's evidentiary value. Should this fabric tie back to their target, it would establish an undeniable geographic bridge connecting the perpetrator straight to the victim's neighborhood. Lab technicians swabbed the garment and promptly uploaded its extracted genetic markers straight into the Fed's nationwide forensic network known as CODIS. Yet again, the digital search yielded absolutely nothing but frustrating silence. Zero system hits meant no instant names and no prime targets linked to the scene, while authorities simultaneously fought to systematically eliminate innocent parties. The mission wasn't merely about catching the guilty, but undeniably clearing the blameless. Fast forward to February 16th, when Sheriff Nanos publicly confronted a highly delicate angle of this whole tragic ordeal. He definitively announced that every single Guthrie relative, from brothers and sisters to their respective partners, was entirely absolved of any suspicion. Shutting off that familial avenue hardly generated fresh leads, because despite having that crucial videotape, alongside the biological swabs and tangible artifacts scooped up right off the nearby streets, detectives still lack a definitive villain, leaving this grim reality completely stalled out. The property was turned inside out, with every single trace carefully bagged. Every tip was chased down rabbit holes, but the mastermind's true identity stays hidden in the shadows, leaving those initial haunting mysteries completely unanswered. The terrifying reality is that this lingering uncertainty now carries a much more crushing psychological weight. Buried within the case files lie those extortion notes, the cyber footprints, and a relentless dread. Shortly after Nancy Guthrie vanished into thin air, the probe veered down a rather chilling new path. A twist so bizarre that it violently dragged both cops and local news anchors directly into the chaotic spotlight. The narrative had shifted way beyond mere domestic forensics or pixelated figures creeping across a security monitor. Suddenly, sinister texts surfaced. A minimum of 3 supposed hostage demands started making the rounds shortly after she went missing. Every single dispatch sparked an identical dilemma. Were these genuine threats or simply a cruel, elaborate hoax? The initial threatening communication reared its ugly head on Monday, February 2nd, as Tucson's KOLD News 13 caught wind of it via their untraceable web portal right around 5 p.m. The broadcast network's chief stated they instantly forwarded this digital threat to the cops, while deciding to keep absolute radio silence on the airwaves. Detectives required breathing room to properly analyze this bombshell. Come daybreak on Tuesday, February 3rd, the terror suddenly multiplied. The gossip giant TMZ supposedly caught the exact same transmission approximately 12 hours post-KOLD, while a rival hometown broadcaster also obtained a matching copy during that time frame. This calculated spread pointed toward a highly orchestrated campaign. The phantom sender clearly craved a massive audience rather than a single spotlight, and the specific wording inside that premiere note terrified everyone involved. They wanted a multi-million-dollar crypto payout in exchange for handing Nancy back alive. The blackmailer established hard cutoffs, marking one for Thursday at 5 p.m. regional time and a secondary limit for Monday, February 9th, openly threatening that blowing past the initial clock would trigger steeper prices, while missing the ultimate payment window would unleash deadly, irreversible retaliation. Yet the most chilling aspect wasn't the insane monetary figure, but rather the intimate knowledge displayed. The author specifically name-dropped Nancy's smart timepiece and flawlessly pinpointed a security fixture on her property, dropping classified facts that nobody outside the investigation knew. Such pinpoint accuracy acted like a giant blaring siren for the detective squad. This immediately signaled that the author possessed either first-hand experience of the crime scene or held highly classified details kept entirely under wraps. Suddenly, a follow-up transmission dropped onto the radar on Friday, February 6th, right around 11:45 in the morning. Detectives intercepted an additional dispatch via that exact same hotline portal, though this specific drop felt entirely distinct. 0 fresh ultimatums were issued, nor did it provide any actual evidence that the victim was still breathing. Rather, it aimed to back up that initial note by dropping clues the author assumed would securely link both texts to a single mastermind. Despite this intended connection, glaring inconsistencies stood out. Both digital drops traced back to totally distinct network locations, even if they each utilized parallel masking programs to scrub their digital footprints. User profiles fed into the hotline portal clashed completely, leaving detectives struggling to figure out if these leads were genuinely linked or just cleverly staged. Detectives suddenly found themselves staring down an incredibly complex puzzle. Leaving no stone unturned was mandatory, with a few experts arguing the dispatches were authentic due to the highly confidential facts and flawlessly crafted grammar. Meanwhile, skeptics wondered if the whole thing was a cruel prank or just random strangers forcefully interjecting themselves into the investigation. Law enforcement officials strictly maintained that absolutely 0 leads were being tossed aside. Federal agents teamed up with Pima County deputies to release a unified declaration stating their active pursuit to verify these mysterious texts. Sheriff Chris Nanos publicly conceded that these shady letters might actually hold 0 connection to Nancy's sudden vanishing act. Yet he forcefully stressed that his entire squad was treating the situation with absolute gravity. Simultaneously, the task force started tearing apart the specific vocabulary woven throughout these texts. Media outlets like KOD and TMZ pointed out that regional slang heavily implied the author knew the Tucson streets intimately. These threatening texts outlined exact post-payment procedures while promising to dump Nancy back within city limits by a highly specific deadline. This particular revelation, though partially kept secret, handed detectives a tight territorial radius, sparking rumors that the true mastermind was hiding locally. However, diving further into the rabbit hole revealed a totally unexpected twist, a curveball that made the entire puzzle infinitely harder, since several of these drops were absolute fakes. On Wednesday, February 5th, an accused California local named Derek Kalla supposedly blasted Nancy's daughter, Annie, with texts demanding crypto transfers. Moments after firing off those digital threats, he quickly dialed up one of her relatives directly. Law enforcement eventually tracked those digital footprints straight to his door and slapped cuffs on him. Legal filings show he confessed to binge-watching the media coverage before launching the scheme using personal numbers he scraped off the web. His pathetic excuse was merely testing their reaction, which quickly earned him federal extortion charges and a swift trip before a judge. This bizarre detour proved one undeniable fact: massive media hype acts like a magnet for opportunistic vultures. forcing agents to constantly sift through garbage tips to find pure gold. Each dispatch required microscopic dissection to confirm its validity, especially inside an investigation already suffocating under massive doubt. Juggling legitimate threats alongside malicious hoaxes simply turned the road to justice into an absolute nightmare. Since buried beneath this chaotic noise lies the ultimate chilling mystery: who truly snatched up Nancy Guthrie? Furthermore, what compels them to remain lurking in the shadows? And could Savannah be tragically correct about her mother already being deceased? Drop your hottest theories down in the comments section right now. Smash those like and subscribe buttons, and definitely tap the recommended clip popping up. It is absolutely guaranteed to keep you hooked. This case leaves behind more than questions. It leaves a lesson we cannot afford to ignore. It shows that danger does not always look like danger. Sometimes it hides behind familiarity, trust, and routines we believe are safe. That is what makes awareness so important in our daily lives. One key takeaway is to never dismiss small warning signs. Unusual behavior, broken patterns, or even a quiet sense that something is wrong can be the first signal that truth is being hidden. Paying attention is not paranoia, it is protection. It is how we look out for ourselves and the people we care about. Another powerful lesson is the importance of courage. Speaking up, asking difficult questions, and refusing to stay silent can change the outcome of a situation. Truth often depends on someone being brave enough to notice, to question, and to act. This story also reminds us to value trust, but to give it wisely. Trust should be built with care, not given blindly. In the end, the message is clear: stay aware, protect those you love, and never underestimate the power of small details, because sometimes they are the only clues that lead to justice.